Welcome, YouTube family. It's a real pleasure to come before you tonight and share with you the things that I believe are on the Lord's heart for all of us. Tonight, He wants to address the issue of husbands and wives. And this is a pretty important issue because our failure or success in marriage and in the spiritual life depends very much on understanding God's order for things. And I have to say, right off the bat, I've been a very rebellious female. I've not honored my husband or men in general, really, in my life. I've always looked at men as equals, and in a sense I don't see there's anything wrong with that. Paul said there's neither male nor female, except that the Lord has established the man as the covering for the wife in marriage. So, let's get right down to what the Lord had to say tonight. This is a prophetic message. These are the Lord's words, and at the end of the message, to the best of my knowledge, at the end of this message, I do talk a little bit about the ways that I have dishonored my husband. And following this teaching, Ezekiel and I share a discussion on this very topic with you, hopefully. And then following that, there's a short section on discernment. So, the Lord's words began. Clare, I want you to address the issue of coverings and discernment in marriages. I'm serious about this. I know you are reticent, but I need you to trust me. At that point, guys, I went to my little Bible promises to get a word from the Lord to be sure that I was in the Spirit and not in my flesh. And I opened to Holy Spirit. And some of you may laugh because I use that method of discernment, but it works for me. And our lives are very unusual, and I think in the sense that a lot of things in our lives have come to fruition that never would have come to fruition if we hadn't really paid close attention to what the Lord wanted us to do and were obedient to that. And my method of using Bible promises, the scriptures, and other forms of discernment are what have brought us to the fulfillment of our lives, really what we believe the fulfillment of our missions. Okay, so moving on. Many women, the Lord continued, many women are ahead of their husbands. That's the nature of the world and things, but many don't see where they are behind. What I mean by that is that they don't see me in their husbands. How can you nourish what you don't see? They're looking for some storybook spiritual giant when I inhabit the lowly and the hidden. Men are easily intimidated by their wives. They don't always let on to that effect, but they are. I guarantee that. Intimidation forces a man to withdraw and relinquish ground he suspects he should be taking. A man's duties in the world keep him preoccupied with providing for his family. When he comes home, he's tired, and the last thing he wants to do is press into time with me. He sees his wife taking the lead, partially because she has the time to study and pray. He knows he can't compete, so he steps back into what is easiest for him. I am more concerned about him because this pattern of relinquishment is detrimental to his relationship with me and with his wife. She grows, he stagnates, unless he is a very unusual man with a strong desire for me. At this point, I must tell these ladies, recovering a lost man is an art form, a delicate. So the Lord said, this is a delicate job that requires much introspection of a wife and much submission and much, much, much work. And I added my take on that. And I replied to him, you mean measuring your words and ultimately your attitudes? He replied, that's correct. The words are merely superficial manifestations of a heart attitude. My counsel to all women who find themselves in this place, see me in your husband and cultivate me so I can dominate him. so it's safe for me to come out and take the lead. You know what you've gone through, and you can share some of that. By the way, I did that in the next video with my husband. So, Lord, you mean my struggles with having my things my way? Yes, that and other things. Secret criticisms, little foxes that nip at the man's ego, things you may not say out loud, but he perceives it in your attitude towards him. I know you are still struggling with this, and I am helping you, but because it is fresh in your mind, you have something solid to share with them. And keep reminding them that demons are at work 24/7 to undermine a man's honor in the home and the world, for that matter. That is why men are so prone to adultery. A woman comes along at work, makes him feel 10 feet tall. He comes home and his wife makes a remark about him leaving his shoes in the middle of the floor. And it's not just that one remark. It's 15 or 20 years worth of remarks that make an I'm bad button in his heart. Just touch it lightly and all the other remarks kick in too, and he feels badly about himself. You're lucky you have married a sensitive man, so you can see this dynamic right out in the open. Most men cover it up with an ugly remark right back, or just withdraw into their TV programs, newspapers, or shops. You ask me, why are the demons so committed to dishonoring a man? Because the man is the covering. This is the correct order. When they don't rise to the occasion, the demons can sift a woman, lead her astray, get into her prayer times, and give her false words, leading them on a wild goose chase, and eventually convincing them that they need a more spiritual man. The children see all of this, and this disrespectful behavior is replicated in them. So the belittling cycle of men continues on into the next generation. The man has a very sensitive understanding of order. Very often I work through him to recognize something's off. But because he doesn't want to face the wrath of Khan or any other comfort-threatening behavior, he finds it more convenient to let it slide. And slide it does. Down, down, and further down yet. Where their lives are run around her spiritual insights with no governor, except perhaps other female friends who are living the same way. That's no help to her either. It's the blind leading the blind. I put the man in that position to bring up the hard things, to confront the things that are suspect. But because they don't want to deal with their wives' reactions, be it tears or deprecations, they let it slide until they are useless to cover their wives and protect them. This teaching is not for all, only the ones who are willing to humble themselves in order to have a good marriage. I'm telling you, ladies, I use your husbands in ways that I will never be able to use you. That's why you were married, not just to have children and a stable home, but to have a holy, productive life, lived in truth and not deception, and to produce holy offspring. With Adam and Eve, you can see this at work. Adam knew it was wrong to eat from the tree, but he was comfortable, complacent, and didn't want to make a big issue with Eve, so he partook as well. You men are not as strong as you appear to be. Brawn and strong are not synonymous. Strong means thinking ahead and making good, sound decisions, even when they go against what your wife wants. Strong means, okay, Lord, I'm willing to endure the strife and pain that will ensue from opposing my wife, what she wants, what she really wants, what she demands, etc. I'll stand for what I believe you are leading me in, no matter what the cost. That is a strong man. And that doesn't mean beating or abusing her. No, that's for sissies, not for men. Love your wife as you love your very own self, because how well your life goes depends on how well you treat your wife. I didn't put you together to be harsh and mean with her. If you're doing that, you can expect the world to repay you with the very same treatment. I put you together to love one another into doing what's right. So by your patience and endurance, you will win her over. By the way, ladies, a man does not have to be spiritual by your definitions to know my ways and my will for your family. I plant it deep inside of him. Yes, it is wonderful when he seeks it out in Scripture, but that's not the determining factor of whether or not he is Spirit-led. In many cases, he will have a deep feeling or conviction about something because I, living in him, gave it to him, even without the trappings of Bible studies, Wednesday night services, or even Sunday services. I dwell inside of him, and what's missing in your marriages is that you are not honoring me and your husbands. You see, a man will step aside when a woman outdoes him in a gift. So many, many, many men have done exactly that and given up the helm to the one who seems to have all the answers. So I'm making a formal appeal to all who hear these words. Honor me and your husband, no matter what his spiritual condition. If you will do this, I will do my part and cause him to begin to stand tall. It will take time. It won't happen overnight. But you will see different layers of responsibility rise up in him. Spiritual responsibility. Protect him. Build him up. Show him my love, not yours. My love that reaches way beyond shoes in the middle of the floor or towels left crumpled up by the shower. Humble yourselves. Take a long look. Make a mental list of all the ways you show preference to your own opinion, your own agenda, your own ways. Watch yourself in the days to come. Carry your cross. You are partly responsible for his passiveness towards me. So deny yourself. Pick up that cross and follow me into what will prove to be a wonderful marriage. The marriage you should have had. The marriage you've always wanted. I can do this if you will cooperate. These instructions are for those of you who know you married the right man. If I did not bring you together with this man, you can still grow in humility, and I will remove him in my time. But until then, you will become more holy, deeper with me, and I will be a husband unto you. You will not lack from my authentic companionship. Remember, pride is the root of this evil, and pride cannot enter heaven. So, my blessed ones, do not fear humiliation and lowliness. It is only your pride that will suffer, and that is for you a bonus. Okay, so that's the end of the message. And what I want to do now is share with you some of the ways where I've dishonored my husband so you can measure them against your own ways. And there are plenty more, I assure you. It's just that these are the ones that came to mind. Let's say, for instance, he wants to go for a walk with you in the park, or he wants to go out for a few minutes or do something, and you're busy with your apostolate, with your work, with your spiritual things, or busy with other things, so you'll have time for your spiritual things later. And you turn him down, or I turn him down. That I've done, and that's wrong, and that's not honoring him. On a decision about if you're going out to dinner, that is, if you have a budget for that, where should we go for dinner? I've insisted on my own way in the past. I'm going for a drive or a recreation. What movie should we see? I've made my case strong, rather than seeking out what he wanted and yielding to him. Honoring the way things are arranged in his private space, his office, shop, library, or the like. Not moving things or leaving a mess, or cleaning to the point where things are out of place. I've done that to him. Ignoring him when he wants you to take time out with him. If you're so wrapped up in your own doings and plans, you may feel like putting them aside is just too hard. and you end up putting him off or sending him out alone. I've done that. I've made him wear clothes he wasn't comfortable with. I've insisted that he looked a certain way when we went out, rather than giving him a gentle nudge. For instance, honey, I thought I'd wear something special for you tonight. Or I really love that green shirt you wore the other day. That's different than being intimidating or making him feel ugly. Getting things he likes to eat within reason when you go shopping, etc., etc. I can just hear it now. Some of you are going to laugh and say, oh, we're way ahead of you, Claire. We already do all those things. And to you, I say, bravo. But find other ways beyond your norm to honor him. For instance, really seek out his opinion on something and then follow it. Make him feel day after day that his preferences are really important to you. Compliment him frequently and sincerely about his appearance, or timing, or wisdom. Find all the times he puts his shoes away or hung the towel to dry. Let him know you appreciate it. And address him, honey, would you please? And when he does something for you, no matter how little, thank you for doing such and such. You were so thoughtful. Notice the little things that you take for granted that show he cares, and compliment him for that. Ask the Lord to give you greater love and respect for him, and to show you where you are prideful or insistent, areas where you need to learn to yield. I promise you the Lord will do it faithfully. There will be turning points in your relationship where he will come to you and say, why are you being so nice to me? Ask the Lord to put it in your heart so you can be honest. Honey, I have taken you for granted. I'm tired of doing things my way. I've been selfish. And I want you to have a greater say in everything we do and plan together. I know God has put true wisdom in you. I need your wisdom. I need your input. I need your covering. And if you've really blown it lately over something, use that as a confession of your poor judgment and how much you need his help. I really believe that as you reach out to him and show your weakness, he'll rise to the occasion to become strong for you. It may take time, and it may take repetitive situations, but sooner or later, if he loves you, I believe he's going to rise to the occasion. And here I'll tell you just how serious the Lord was with me. Just before he released me into public ministry on YouTube, my computer all of a sudden went down, black, nothing, and basically to sleep. And it wouldn't work, it wouldn't respond, it wouldn't boot up, it wouldn't do anything. I finally gave up in tears and thought, oh my gosh, this is the end of my ministry. There was no way I could afford to have this thing fixed. No way at all. All the music, all the teachings, all the artwork and filming I planned on using, gone. I had absolutely no tools to carry out the ministry he's been training me for and he's called me to do. And this is what he said to me. Your ministry for me is absolutely useless without you honoring me and your husband. Honor your husband as you honor me, or I can't use you, Claire. That is the stark truth, guys. That's exactly what the Lord said to me. And I was just crestfallen. I mean, my whole world just fell apart because, frankly, he's been training me for this mission for 33 years. And I knew this was coming. I knew it was going to come later on in my life. And here I'm in this place now, and he's given me so many rich things to share with others. And now he's telling me none of that, none of that training, and none of that experience, and none of those things have any meaning to him as long as I'm not honoring my husband, really honoring him. Ouch. For days I was completely petrified with sorrow, self-pity more than godly sorrow. until he began to show me how controlling I was. Then I became horrified at who I had become. He told me that many times he wanted to lead me through my husband, but he couldn't because I didn't honor him. Here's a little for instance, the dishes. He wanted me to retire. My husband wanted me to retire some of the mugs and plates and silverware so that I wasn't always so backed up on dishes, which takes a real toll on me at night. With the fibromyalgia over the sink, for an hour and a half on my feet, it really wipes me out before I go to work. For several years, he's been asking me to do this. For several years, I withstood him. So after I realized what I was doing, I retired 2/3 of our dishes and silverware. And lo and behold, the dishes are a 20-minute job instead of an hour and a half. It's made a huge difference. And the Lord was wanting to do this with me all this time. But because the kitchen was my domain and I thought I knew what was best, he couldn't do a thing with me. So, and he tried to use my husband, but in my pride and obstinacy, I just wouldn't listen. Okay, so moving on to the computer. In that situation, after 3 days of darkness, no pun intended, I thought to myself, well, maybe now that I've really repented, the Lord will have mercy on me. And I walked over and lifted the lid of my computer, and all of a sudden, my computer started working perfectly again. That was several months ago. I haven't had any problems with it since. So it was obvious that this was an act of God. Anyway, that's exactly how serious the Lord is about honoring my husband. All my gifts are useless to him without honoring my husband. So, you ladies may not be in this place at all, but if you even suspect an inkling of this attitude in your lives, perhaps you'd like to pray this prayer with me. I started to write out earlier. Lord, I beg of you, change us. Show us how we are stifling our husbands, how we are overshadowing them, and causing them to cower back into the shadows. Give us the grace to conquer our pride with your humility. Expose our crooked ways and make them straight. Please, Lord, give us courage. Raise up our husbands into the callings you have for them, and help us to truly be their helpmates as they awaken to your calling. Help us to truly love, honor, and respect them as we love, honor, and respect you. Lord, I believe you're going to answer this prayer because I know it is your will for us. Amen. Well, thank you for listening, YouTube family, and I think you'll probably really enjoy the next video, which is sharing with Ezekiel and I. We both kind of share with you what's going on in our hearts and minds in our relationship. So stay tuned. God bless you, and see you later.